overtime pay. We're talking the overtime play. The big stories, the big plays, the big drama. We got Jared P and Johnny O. Jared P and Johnny O. Jared P and Johnny O. Jared P and Johnny O.
Welcome to Overtime with Jared P. and Johnny O show. We have a special show today, an added show this week because of what the Carolina Tar Heels are doing they're moving on to the Super Regionals. And we have a special guest that I met just a couple days ago. I overheard him talking baseball and I said, man, I got to have this guy on. His name is Bob Scheppegrel. And Bob, welcome to the show, man.
Great. Thanks, John. Glad to be here.
You got it, man. And I'm excited about talking about the Tar Heels, and I'm starting to get into this a little bit. I'm a baseball guy, but sometimes college baseball just doesn't get the notoriety that they need to get. But let me mention my couple of our sponsors before we get started. Our title sponsor, Estate Jewelry and Loan, Brian Demore. I understand that I was just told I better not say anything. But Estate Jewelry and Loan is our title sponsor, and Salsarita's Fresh Mexican Grill. A couple of our sponsors that have been with us since day one. But all right, Bob. Okay, the Carolina Tar Heels moving on to play the almighty Arizona. Just Arizona and Arizona State. When I was a kid, and all the way until now that I'm an old son of a gun, when I hear Arizona or I hear Arizona State, I think tremendous baseball. So this should be really interesting. What are your thoughts on the Tar Heels and what they did this past weekend, and what do you think they look like this coming weekend? Do they have a chance to make it to the big time?
I agree. I think, John, the Arizona Wildcats have a fantastic history, but Carolina over the last 20, 25 years has been a consistent presence in the NCAA regionals and super regionals, and fortunately has hosted so many of those. So this past weekend, we saw some dominating pitching performances from Carolina. Jake Knapp from Greensboro, North Carolina, won his 13th game of the year, so he's 13-0. Regularly gives Carolina 7, 8, even 9 innings as a starter. Jason DeCaro, who's 19 years old, in his second year at Carolina, just a fantastic pitcher from Long Island. And then after that, they still get consistent pitching from Aiden Houck and Walker McDuffie, and just really depth of pitching has gone really well this year. Also, the hitting, some of the guys are really hot. Nobody hotter right now than Gavin Gallagher, who was the MVP of the regionals. Just everything that came to him, no matter the Oklahoma coach gave him a compliment in his press conference after losing the regional, saying that it didn't matter what pitch his pitchers threw, whether it was a slider, a changeup, a fastball, Gallagher was hitting it.
Wow. But it's, once that bat gets hot, it's amazing in baseball, which I still think is the hardest game of all sports. I played it for most of my life and I had some success with it, but I look back and I think, how well, I was a pitcher, but I was also a pretty good hitter, and I look back, I don't know how I hit that damn ball, man. That's really hard to hit, especially nowadays when they're throwing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, the pitchers that Carolina saw this past weekend were regularly throwing in the mid-90s, and that used to 10 years ago that used to be a superstar would throw in the mid-90s. Now just about everybody does, and so. But you know what? You get the barrel of the bat on a 95, 97 mile an hour pitch, it goes a long way.
It does. I'll brag a little bit, and I'm not a bragger, but it was so many years ago. I got to at least mention it. Back when I was in high school, I almost don't want to give the year because it'll really give away my age. But um, I was a pitcher, and I was a big guy, and I threw hard, and I topped out back in 1981. I'll say it in 81 at 91 miles an hour, and that was unbelievable. I wouldn't make it to I don't know what league with 91 miles an hour anymore. I mean, throwing the mid 90s to 100. I don't even think they look at you anymore.
Well, these days, I think it's mostly about positioning the ball, right? So if you throw low to mid 90s, but you're throwing mostly across the middle of the plate, you're going to get killed. Batters are just too good.
Yeah.
And they have these sophisticated systems where they will program the pitching machines in the batting cages to emulate your specific pitching style. And so batters are just so prepared for what's coming at them. It's still hard, though. It's still hard because, you bat, if you get 3 out of 10, you're doing really well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're a Hall of Famer, for crying out loud. But the sliders and the what's that other pitch? The changeup is the key pitch nowadays. I mean, just the movement of that ball, and that brings me back real quick. When I talk about a pitcher, and I was always a Tom Seaver fan back in the day. I loved Tom Seaver, and that's why that's everything I used to try to copy. But Greg Maddux was the greatest pitcher. I mean, he threw in the mid 80s, the upper 80s, but he could place that ball, and he was that guy to me was the most spectacular pitcher I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he would frustrate batters because he could put the ball exactly where he wanted it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So North Carolina. Okay, first of all, Vanderbilt and Texas, the 1-2 teams before last weekend, just get eliminated. And that's what's kind of fun with this tournament. It reminds you a little bit of March Madness, when the big dogs go down early. But that was surprising. But the Heels, they came through, and of course they had to go that extra game. That was a little scary, but of course they put up 14 runs and didn't even make a game out of it. So I was happy about that. But now they were in the World Series last year, made it to the World Series last year, which is great. But they have never won a World Series. That surprises me.
Yeah. So the college, for those that don't know, the College World Series, you get 8 teams that come, and then they play a double elimination, and ultimately you have 2 teams that go to best 2 out of 3, so the championship round. And Carolina made it there twice and lost to Oregon State both times. Was 1 out away from winning it one year and just didn't pull it off. But it takes a lot of deep pitching staff and a little bit of luck. And so far, Carolina's proven to be an extremely talented program because year after year they're competing or getting to Omaha, but so far have not won the championship. But let me get back as far as like Texas. You think about them, extremely talented team, and what's one of the other great things about college baseball is you have these programs that if you only follow, say, college football or college basketball, you've never heard of, University of Texas San Antonio or Dallas Baptist. Well, in college baseball, those are names, especially Dallas Baptist, but UTSA beat Texas, and Texas was number 2 in the country. So those kind of things happen. And in the regionals, it's not a one and done. You have to lose 2 games. So it's even a bigger upset.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I love it. And speaking of other teams, the ACC's well represented in this in the super regionals. You got, you still have Miami left, Louisville. Louisville always seems to have a nice program. Florida State, of course, your Heels, and even the Dukies. The Dukies are still in it. And that brings up real quick. I know you don't want to talk about Duke at all. You made that perfectly clear yesterday when we were prepping. But how about this helmet thing that happened, or the prop thing? Did you check that out at all?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I know they try to limit showboating and making the other team look bad. But part of enjoying the college experience is celebrating when you have success. So the idea that a kid came out of the dugout wearing a helmet, which is their way of celebrating a home run, and getting penalized for it, that's even for that team, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's obviously an NCAA rule. They're an interesting group, but we won't get into that. Maybe we'll have a whole conversation on that sometime. But hey, let me mention our other sponsors real quick before we get into this next segment. We got Imperial Marketing Solutions for all your computer needs. That's Jimmy Snow up north. You got Pure Energy Fitness here in Greensboro with Blaze Thompson. The owner does a great job with all the people that come in there. Schenk and Torrance Insurance. They've been my insurance company for over 20 years now. Brian Torrance will take care of you, and they serve the entire triad in state. Surf Hippie Fishing for all your fishing needs, and Elite Chiropractic Performance. Jeremy Phillips, ex-NFL player over there on the corner of Battleground and Westridge. He's got some real elite type things that he does that no other chiropractors do, and he does a great job, and he's been with us since day one. And then my buddy Davis Troxler. I don't know if you're a golfer, Bob, but he owns Tee It Up Indoor. He's got over 100,000 golf courses to choose from, and he's got 3 new simulators now, and he's right off of Battleground Ave. But those are our trusty sponsors that make this show happen. But are you a golfer?
I am not very good, but I love it.
Well, I'm right there with you. I am hooked on it. I wish I was playing right now, but maybe we'll play together sometime. All right, let's get back to this. One other team besides the ACC, those ACC teams. So what do you got? You got 5 ACC teams out of the 16. That's pretty good. Coastal Carolina. I love when they're in the tournament, and they have always had a great program, and that was one of the schools that I almost went to way back in 1981. I was getting quite a bit of interest, but I always loved, because they won it just a few years ago, didn't they?
That's right. They did. I don't recall, John, the specific year, but it's been a few years. But they're consistently very good. And fortunately, Carolina's coach, Scott Ford, believes in scheduling difficult midweek games. And so Carolina regularly plays Coastal Carolina, and they're difficult matchups. So a great program.
Yeah. So boy, we're lucky to live in this area. I'm from Syracuse, but I've been down here for 30 years, and the biggest reason that I moved down here was the sports down here. I am a sports fanatic, and the golf and all that, and I'm happy where I am. It's a nice central location of a lot of different great things that happen in sports around here. All right, little discussion on this Jake Knapp. 13-0, 1.98 ERA. ERAs aren't that low anymore because of what you're saying. With the batters, they have so many different things that they can do now to figure out these pitchers. But under 2 ERA, that's spectacular. And is it true that he's 6'5", 270?
He's a big guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
So Jake, there's so many things to love about Jake. You and I live in Greensboro. He's from Greensboro, went to Page High School. Little known fact, my wife taught faith formation for Jake Knapp at St. Pius. So we have a little bit of a connection there, but he just, he wants the ball and he wants to finish the game. And we kind of laugh when he's on the mound. He comes out of the dugout. He comes charging out of the dugout. And if the coach had any thoughts of not letting him come out for the 8th inning or 9th inning, somebody's going to have to stop him. And he's a big dude.
Good for him, man. And we discussed it a little bit yesterday when we were talking about the show. I mean, is he, where do you think, where's he going to go maybe in the draft? And, does he have a future in professional baseball?
To me, he definitely has a future in professional baseball. One of the things about all the professional leagues is they very much value upside and youth. And, Jake's in his 5th year of college baseball. And so his youth in terms of college players, he doesn't have as much upside from that perspective. But what he does have is proven success against outstanding competition, because as you just said, 5 teams in the ACC are left out of 16 in the whole country still playing baseball. So he's 13-0 against excellent competition. So the talent is there, the mindset's there, the commitment's there. But there are teams that want to take an 18-year-old that they can mold and that maybe have a little more upside. So hard to predict where he goes, but no doubt in my mind he has a future in professional baseball.
Beautiful. A guy like that is 6'5", 270. Just seeing, the way he's kind of like has a lot of enthusiasm out there. I mean, I picture him maybe a couple years down the road as a closer or something, coming in and just, really just coming in and closing out some games and throwing hard and, coming in with that big body and kind of being intimidating. Those closers are usually very intimidating. So,
Yeah. I wish he had a little time left that he could go over and play some tight end for Bill Belichick. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
Perfect size for it, man. All right, so real quick on Arizona, this team they're playing. Well, first, am I reading this right? The Tar Heels, they only lost 1 or 2 non-conference games throughout the year. Is that true? Or they're like 45-13 or something like that overall?
That sounds right. Like I said, the coaching staff likes to play a difficult midweek schedule. And so you play a couple of non-conference series at the beginning of the year, which is usually, mid-February when college season starts. I don't have committed to memory. You've done the research, so I trust that, knowing how we did lose several games in conference. So that holds water. Yeah,
absolutely. So, but Arizona, now they have the claim. They have won 4 national titles, man. That's pretty wild. And, always a great program. They ended up 42-18, and they were 4th in the Big 12. That's still, I had to read that. That just doesn't even sound right, but they're in the Big 12. But their problem was, I kind of looked up a little bit. They had a real bad start of the season, and I don't know if it was injuries or what was going on, but they started off very, very slow. But obviously they have kicked it in, and I think it's going to be a hell of a series this coming weekend, because they'll come to play. But I don't know. I'm feeling like, I think it's the Tar Heels' year. I hope I don't jinx them, but this might be their year.
This team has really shown a lot of resilience. There have been players that have really peaked, and in baseball, you always hit slumps. And right now, one of the best players on the team, highly ranked catcher Luke Stevenson, first round draft pick, and likely first round draft pick. He has not done as well at the plate in the last few weeks, and still outstanding, fantastic catcher, great arm, and a great bat, just in a slump. But as we talked about earlier, Gavin Gallagher, one of the guys that picked it up, Alex Madera, our shortstop, batting in the 333 range and just consistently getting on base and playing fantastic defense. So, I like our chances. I think it's really more on the basketball side, but there's a lot of statistics out there about teams that have to cross more than 2 time zones and how they do their first game after they make that switch, East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast. And the fact that we're playing at noon on Friday, and I'm sure the Wildcats are coming out a couple of days early, but there's a lot of transition there. So the Tar Heel players will be waking up in their own beds and playing on a field they know. So
I saw that noon on Friday and noon on Saturday.
That's right.
So, I mean, that does make a big difference. But we say it is because where we are in our age, but these young guys, oh my God, they should be just fine. But
That's
I
right.
hope it's a good series. Well, I think let me. Why don't we close out the show? Just give me a little bit of your dissertation on how you're involved with the Tar Heel baseball.
Sure. So my wife and I endowed a scholarship about a dozen years ago for the baseball program. And so we've gotten to know 6 or 7 of the players that have gotten our scholarship through the years. The current player that has our scholarship, Matty Matthias, had a fantastic year last year. He's a junior pitcher. At one point last year was leading the country in wins. Unfortunately, injured his arm about a third of the way through this season and ended up having Tommy John surgery. And so he has been out since mid-year. But there's also a program that Carolina started a year ago called the Dugout Club, which is intended for fans who can make a multi-year commitment to support the team, is intended to cover a lot of the cost of operations so that they can go ahead and raise some NIL money separately. So the Dugout Club is intended to fund sort of the day-to-day operations of the team. And we've been part of that, and it allows us to get to know some of the coaching staff, do some special events, that kind of thing. So any Tar Heel baseball fans out there, I'm sure that they would love to hear from you. Dave Arendis is the head of operations there, and they do a great job with it.
Very nice. And that's totally separate from what is it called? The Rams Club or? Yep.
It is because this is very specific to baseball. So the Rams Club is the overall fundraising organization that supports all of Tar Heel athletics.
Very nice. Well, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's close it out. What a great show. Thank you for giving us a little few tidbits on these Tar Heels. I'm excited. I can't wait for the week now, and I might try to sneak over there for a game. That Saturday noon game certainly is of interest to me. I might try to get over there because the excitement. I've been in that stadium. It's a beautiful stadium too. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
It's only that's the thing. 55 minutes away from where I live right now. I love that, man. So, well, good
man, I don't know the time of the Duke game on Saturday, but hey, maybe you could do a doubleheader.
Oh, that would be. Hopefully, the weather permits that. I mean, the weather's been a little iffy around here, but when Carolina plays, that Carolina blue sky shines, so we should be just fine, man.
That's right. That's right.
It's starting. I'm getting a little too much Carolina. I'm a Syracuse guy, but on the baseball end, I'll jump on the Tar Heel bandwagon. So.
All right.
Well,
We'll
thank
welcome
Bob.
you.
Thank you so much, man, and really do appreciate it. And maybe we'll have you back on after or a little before, or really, if they win the World Series, you're back on the show, man.
All right. That
Well,
sounds like a good idea.
you got it. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Enjoyed it.
We're not talking overtime pay. We're talking the overtime play. The big stories, the big plays,